Listen to me. Listen to me very closely. They didn't just bomb Nigeria. They didn't just violate the airspace of the most populous black nation on earth. They sent a message, and they wrapped that message in a bow and explicitly called it a Christmas present. On December 25th, 2025, while families were gathering, while the world was distracted by a holiday, the United States military, under the direct order of Donald Trump, launched over a dozen Tomahawk cruise missiles into Nigerian sovereign territory. They tell you this was about terrorism. They tell you this was about protecting Christians. But I'm here to tell you that is a lie. This wasn't a rescue mission. This was a test run. This was a geopolitical chess move designed to secure resources, intimidate a continent, and remind the black world who holds the leash. They hit Sokoto in the far north, but they also dropped munitions in Kwara State, hundreds of miles off target. And what is the Nigerian government doing? They're going on television and thanking them for the cooperation. Today, we are going to dissect the anatomy of a violation. We are going to look at the Lakurawa group they claim to be fighting, the Christian genocide narrative they are using to manufacture consent, and the real reason the U.S. Navy is parking destroyers in the Gulf of Guinea. Welcome to the broadcast. This is the truth about the Christmas strikes. Let's get the official story out of the way, because you need to understand the propaganda before you can understand the reality. According to the Pentagon and the Trump administration, this was a precision strike against the Islamic State. They claim that a group called Lakurawa, an affiliate of ISIS in the Sahel, has been terrorizing northwest Nigeria. They cite recent atrocities, including the kidnapping of 303 school children in Papiri just days before. Now, let me be clear. The kidnapping was real. The terror is real. Our children are suffering. But do not confuse their suffering with America's motivation. President Trump told Politico that the military planned to strike earlier, but he personally ordered it delayed specifically to make it a Christmas present. Think of the psychology of that. It's not strategic, it's symbolic. It's a flex of imperial power. He is telling you he can rain fire on an African nation as a holiday celebration. The Nigerian government, specifically Information Minister Mohammed Idris Malagi and Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuggar, are scrambling. They are on TV right now telling you this was a joint operation. They are telling you they invited this. Family, do you believe that? Do you believe a sovereign nation invited a foreign power to launch cruise missiles that missed their targets and hit a village in Kwara State, hundreds of miles off target? Here is the reality. Just 1 month ago, Donald Trump threatened unilateral military action against Nigeria. He threatened to cut off aid and come in guns blazing unless Nigeria acted. When the Nigerian government says joint operation, what they mean is capitulation. They were threatened with humiliation, so they accepted cooperation to save face. This is what state capture looks like in 2025. Now we have to touch the third rail. We have to talk about the narrative the U.S. administration is using to sell this war to its base. They are calling it a defense against Christian persecution. President Trump explicitly stated that the group targeted had been targeting Christians. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said there was more to come regarding protecting Christians. Let's look at the data. The conflict in Nigeria, especially in the Mid-Belt and the Northwest, is not a simple holy war. It's a resource war. It's about land. It's about water. It's about climate change, pushing herders further south into farmland. Yes, Christians are being killed. Yes, Muslims are being killed. The group they targeted, Lakurawa, operates in Sokoto. Sokoto is overwhelmingly Muslim. The people terrorized by Lakurawa are largely Muslims who refuse to pay their taxes or follow their extreme rules. Even the Nigerian government pushed back, stating explicitly that no specific religion had been targeted and rejecting the U.S. language about Christian persecution. But resource war caused by climate change doesn't sell Tomahawk missiles to an American electorate. Holy war does. They are weaponizing religion to justify imperialism. They are creating a narrative of good Christians versus bad Muslims to manufacture consent for a U.S. military foothold in Nigeria. And once that foothold is established, do you think they're leaving? Now we have to get technical for a minute. I need you to understand the level of disrespect involved. The strikes were conducted by a U.S. Navy warship, likely the USS Paul Ignatius, sitting in the Gulf of Guinea. They fired over a dozen Tomahawk cruise missiles. These missiles have a range of 1,000 miles. They flew from the ocean over southern Nigeria, over the heads of millions of people, all the way to the northern border. And what happened? They claim they hit 2 ISIS camps in the Buni forest in Sokoto. Fine, but the Nigerian information minister admitted that debris from munitions hit Jabo in Sokoto and Offa in Kwara State. Look at the map. Offa is in Kwara State. That is 600 kilometers, 370 miles, away from the target in Sokoto. How do you launch a precision strike and drop debris on a town 370 miles off target? This wasn't precision. This was negligence. They fired missiles over populated areas. Buildings were damaged in Offa. 5 civilians were wounded. If a foreign power fired a missile over Europe and accidentally hit a town 300 miles off course, it would be an international crisis. But when the United States fires a missile over Nigeria and debris rains down on a random town, it's just collateral damage. And the Nigerian government? They said no civilian casualties, despite reports of wounded people. They are managing the PR for the people who bombed them. This proves that Nigeria does not currently control its own sky. To understand why they struck now, you have to look at the neighbors. Look at Niger, look at Mali, look at Burkina Faso. In the last 2 years, these countries have kicked the West out. They expelled the French. They expelled the American drone bases. They formed the Alliance of Sahel States and turned away from Western security reliance. The United States has lost its eyes and ears in the Sahel. They are blind. So suddenly, we see the rise of this group, Lakurawa. They appeared in late 2024 and 2025. They are an offshoot of ISIS in Sahel. They are crossing the border from Niger into Nigeria. Isn't it convenient? Just as the U.S. gets kicked out of Niger, a new threat emerges right on the border of Nigeria. the one country where the US is trying to maintain a grip. The Lakurawa group gives the US a reason to keep a military presence in the region. The US official admitted the strike was partially symbolic and aimed at deterrence. This strike wasn't just about protecting Nigerians. It was about projecting power into the Sahel. It was about showing that the US can still reach out and touch the region, even without bases in Niger. Nigeria is being used as the launching pad. Now we get to the bottom line. Follow the money. Why does the US care about northwest Nigeria? It's remote, it's rural, it's about control. First, there's the threat of Russian influence. The instability in the Sahel has opened the door for Russia to sell itself as an alternative partner to these African governments. The US is terrified of losing Nigeria to that same sphere of influence. Second, it's about long-term positioning. By militarizing Nigeria, the US forces the Nigerian government to rely on American intelligence, American weapons, and American protection. We saw this happen.
What we witnessed on Christmas Day was a violation. It doesn't matter if they killed terrorists. It matters how they did it. They did it unilaterally, with the US president overriding the timeline to make a holiday statement. Nigeria, you are sleeping with the enemy. You are allowing your land to be used as a staging ground for imperial projection. If Nigeria is the giant of Africa, it must act like one. A giant does not let someone else walk into his house and start shooting. A giant defends his family. We need Pan-African defense. We need our own security solutions that address the root causes, the climate change, the poverty, the governance issues, rather than relying on foreign missiles that miss their targets by 300 miles. Because as long as we are relying on them to save us, we will always be their Christmas present. We will always be a prop in their movie. Stay vigilant, stay suspicious, and most importantly, look at the facts, not the press release.